When I made a video on my first impressions on Hitman 2, I said I might make another one after more time has passed. Now that the first expansion pack is out in full and there's been a bunch of live content and patches, it seems like a good time for that another video. I'll get to the live content and the expansion stuff in a bit, but first I got to address what a mixed bag the patches so far have been, especially when it comes to the rating system. The very first patch back in November instantly broke the rating system so that trespassing and getting spotted by enforcers no longer counted against Silent Assassin. I would have actually been fine with the change, as I thought it could have made the game feel fresh again, and I never liked how taking just one step into a trespassing area was enough to ruin your Silent Assassin rating, especially if you walked away instantly when told to do so. But IO's lack of proper communication on it pretty much had me stop playing the game for several months instead. I like to go for Silent Assassin and push the system to its limits, but when it wasn't clear whether the change was intentional or a bug that would be fixed soon, it just felt pointless to play at all, when even the devs didn't seem to know what the requirements for Silent Assassin were supposed to be. To IO's credit, however, when the change finally got reverted several months later, they also made improvements like adding a Silent Assassin tracker and accident knockouts. Big step in the right direction and very appreciated, but I'm still going to bitch about the rating system ad nauseum, as I still think it's a very poorly designed afterthought and I would love to scrap the whole thing and do it over from scratch. The communication on what's getting patched has overall been poor. The patch notes honestly seem mostly useless when many big changes are completely omitted, yet insignificant details keep popping up there. By reading the patch notes you wouldn't know that Colorado main mission now has multiple exits available to it after the first completion, but you would know that a typo in the German translation has been fixed. Thanks for that detail, I guess. For real though, big thanks for the Colorado update IO, that's an excellent improvement. But enough of that, let's look at the lab content. I'll start with some positive stuff, which surprisingly means the escalations. I haven't played all of them myself, but based on the ones I have, and the objectives of the ones I haven't, they have gotten much more interesting compared to Season 1. Utilizing map-specific things like Rangan Tower's elevator shaft or Whittleton Creek's fumigation system and making them a central theme works much better than just throwing random objectives together, which is what most of the old escalations felt like. I especially like the Delgado larceny, where the custom starting location, equipment restrictions, objectives, the unlockable weapon, and even the name all tied together to form a story without any explicit dialogue. And to top it off, the unlockable was tied to the Silent Assassin rating, making it feel actually earned rather than a complete handout. So, great stuff there. More like that, please. So, elusive targets. I honestly stopped playing them after the first couple, as mechanically they all seem to be way too similar, and the concept has just gotten stale for me. And it doesn't seem like IO is focusing on them anymore either, considering there has only been a small handful of new ones. But I do want to give a special mention to the Undying, which was so damn good that I almost made a separate video talking about it. I don't typically care about the writing or stuff like that too much, but interesting characters and writing can definitely elevate any mission, and that's what happened with the Undying. The whole concept of a rival assassin known for faking his own death over and over has the potential to be the perfect Hitman antagonist, and the concept was executed brilliantly, as despite having the arrogance to taunt 47, he also had enough charisma to not come across as an utter asshole. The mission design was top-notch as well. Short enough loop, with several obvious but not free kill opportunities, a non-intrusive mission story to help new players get started. I mean, keep in mind, this was the first Hitman 2 elusive target, and it came out a week after the release. And a predetermined starting location, which I actually like in elusive targets. Since elusive targets are not supposed to be replayed over and over, I like the aspect of infiltration being a mandatory part of the experience, as I think that does make the missions feel more special. So the Undying was really good, and I was more invested in his story than the main story, which went off the rails in Colorado and has since caught fire in a landfill it crashed into. I mean, come on, can't we just have interesting targets like Silvio Caruso or Jordan Cross and focus on their stories? Do we really need to go after the Illuminati while also trying to explore 47 as a character? The story is both too grand and too personal at the same time, and neither part feels like it belongs. But anyway, the Undying. They fucked it up. They had all the potential in the world to do another high-quality mission with him in any location and explore his character more. But what did we get? The same exact mission, this time with an eye patch. Seeing great potential be wasted like this actually made me unreasonably mad. Then there are featured contracts which I have no interest in and don't play, the busy work packs which are pretty much what it sounds like, and a new thing IO called seasonal events that turned out to be holiday hoarders from Season 1, this time with a time restriction, and Hokkaido Snow Festival, which seemed like a leftover elusive target from Season 1 that was just being repurposed. I'm going to guess that the seasonal events were not a huge success, as there hasn't been one since January, and the feedback I saw was mostly not too happy about there being even more time-restricted content. But let's look at the expansion missions. The first one to come out was the Sniper Assassin map, Hantu Port. And like Himmelstein, I gave it about 3 hours before I felt like I had seen everything it had to offer. The mode just does not have any lasting appeal to me. The progression system prevents you from ever going for high scores without excessive grinding, and the way mouse sensitivity changes depending on the zoom level makes sniping really frustrating to begin with. I have no intention to return to Hantu Port again. The 2 special assignments and the bank came out at the same time, so I'll cover them in the order in which I played them. The Colombia special assignment called Embrace of the Serpent was an absolute joke. The tiny jungle area is effectively a flat plain where trees form corridors, the disguise and kill options are very limited, the target has 2 bodyguards hugging his ass constantly, and the secondary objective is in a hut with 1 entrance and several people stationed directly in front of, making Sound Assassin suit only playthroughs a huge pain. I kinda want to applaud IO for giving us a real challenge as the game lacks those, but this is not what I was after. The Mumbai special assignment called Illusions of Grandeur was the complete opposite in terms of difficulty. Within seconds of starting the mission, you see the target and he talks to you, leads you into an isolated room and practically asks to be killed. I prefer easy missions, but this is actually comical. Illusions is not a good mission either, but it does clearly beat Embrace as the trolls make for a much more interesting setting than the jungle, and the lighting in daytime Mumbai makes the map look really good. Definitely one of the most beautiful maps in the game visually. Oh, and in case anyone's wondering what I mean when I say that the game lacks challenges but that I prefer easy missions, let me clarify. I think missions that are easy to complete generally allow for more freedom in how they're approached, but the game's built-in challenge system should be used more to encourage and reward completing the easy missions in difficult ways. That's why A New Life in Blood Money is such an excellent mission. If you just want to complete it, it's completely effortless. But you can also scale up the difficulty by going for something crazy like a hedge cutter kill. The difficulty level in an easy mission can be scaled up with extra challenges, but a hard mission is always going to be hard. That's why I would like to see some expert challenge packs that focus on clever ways to get Sound Assassin. Finally, the bank, Golden Handshake. It's great. I had been feeling burnt out on the current Hitman formula, and the bank actually felt fresh. While exploring maps like Mumbai or Santa Fortuna felt really exciting the first couple of times through, now I just dread the idea of even starting up such huge missions with multiple targets spread all across the map. It's just excessive. The bank, however, only has 1 target and a data retrieval objective that can be completed in different ways. It's much smaller than most maps, but just as interconnected and far more focused, which is a strictly positive thing for me. I would say that the bank has a lot in common with Hokkaido in terms of objectives and map design, and that's great because that's exactly the type of map I want to see more of. Mumbai might be a masterpiece in its own right, but Hokkaido and the bank are maps that I actually want to go back to and replay. It's a bit early to say, but Golden Handshake is likely to end up being one of my favorite Hitman 2 missions together with Cytosine Versus, The Finish Line, The Showstopper and World of Tomorrow. All of which, by the way, I think are easy to complete and reasonably tightly focused, making them enjoyable to replay in many different ways. So in total, the expansion pack has a sniper mission that's slightly better than the previous one, 2 special assignments that are basically replayable elusive targets, and 1 proper, top-quality Hitman mission. I don't know what money is worth to you, so I'm not going to say whether the expansion is worth it or not, but that's what you get. What I will say is that IO should absolutely work on their terminology if they're seriously trying to pass the special assignments as the missions promised in the expansion description. Or better yet, really think about what they're going to release later this year in the second expansion. Anyway, that about sums up my thoughts on the last 6 or so months of Hitman. If you for some reason really want to hear me rant about Hitman some more, I started doing a monthly podcast thing recently, where I go over stuff like patch notes and new live content. I don't play the game much these days, but I still have a lot to say about it, and condensing that into 3 hours of ranting on a monthly basis is working alright for me. I did skip this month because of the expansion release, but normally I try to do the podcast as soon as the new patch is out. Also, an archived version of my first bank stream is in the description, if that's something you would like to see. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.